What's happening, baby? Welcome back to the Huddle Chat Sports Network's very own fantasy football huddle. Today we're wrapping up our top 24 quarterbacks of the 2024 season's early rankings. We're going through quarterbacks 13 through 24. You heard me discuss quarterbacks 1 through 12 in the last video. If you haven't seen it yet, there will be a link down in the description below for you to check it out. As I said in the last video, and you're going to hear me talk about a lot as far when it comes to rankings, we're going to be talking about the ECR, the expert consensus ranking, as opposed to going through every single player. Certain players belong in certain places, and the experts believe that they belong there for certain reasons. I'm really only going to dive into a lot of the players that I have vastly different or even just slightly different than the rankings and explaining to you why they are where they are. Without further ado, let's get into everything that we've been discussing already. Fill up our cups, roll something up, and get right into quarterback number 13. And when I say number 13, not only is he the 13th quarterback on the list, but just like quarterback 1 was the number 1 quarterback, number 13 is the number 13 quarterback. Brock Purdy from the San Francisco 49ers is going to run in and finish out my tier 4. As I said in the previous video, this fourth tier of quarterback are going to be quarterbacks that have good weapons but lack that rushing upside that you see in some of the other top 10 quarterbacks. You are looking at them being potential crazy upside options, and they have the upside to be potential top 3 quarterbacks in volume. The first two were Tua Tagovailoa and Jared Goff at the 11 and 12 spots. Rounding out tier 4 is going to be Brock Purdy, like I said, from the San Francisco 49ers. You love the weapons around him. You love the offense. What more can you say? Brock Purdy is a perfect low-end quarterback 1, high-end quarterback 2. Now, the big move that I have on this whole quarterback list is going to be my number 14 quarterback. I got Matt Stafford 5 spots above the ECR right now. When you look at Matt Stafford's campaign with a Cooper Cup last year, he threw almost 4,000 yards. It was like 3,861, I believe. It was something like that. You're looking at him throwing that almost 4,000 yards, 24 touchdowns, and that was only in 14 games. If you pace that out through 17 games, Matt Stafford was looking at potentially being able to come just 18 yards short of Tua Tagovailoa, the leader in passing yards last year, as well as 29 passing touchdowns. I do know that asking for 17 games for Matthew Stafford at this point in his career is a reach. It all depends on Cooper Kupp's health as well. But in a perfect world, things go right. They got the number 1 in Puka Nacua. They still have the Triple Crown winner in Cooper Kupp. They have a great running back in the backfield, and they got Sean McVay, one of the most high intelligent offensive minds in the NFL today. So I think Matt Stafford finishing as a top 15 quarterback is not a crazy ask. Moving on to the next quarterback, who I've got 2 spots higher than consensus as well, will be Trevor Lawrence from the Jacksonville Jaguars. I know there's not really much to be excited about as far as Trevor Lawrence coming off of this offseason. You're looking at him finishing with around 3,900 to 4,100 yards in each of his years so far in his career, and nothing really has changed on this Jacksonville Jaguars roster to really get you excited that Trevor Lawrence is going to do anything really different than he has already done. He signed the extension this offseason. He's not on a contract year. And they lost Calvin Ridley. I know they added in Gabe Davis, a number 2 wide receiver, to replace their number 1 wide receiver. I know they drafted the new wide receiver in the offseason, so he does have some weapons. But like I said, nothing's really changed to predict a major step up for Trevor Lawrence. He's right where he belongs as a quarterback 2. Quarterback that I'm not as high on as everybody else. I'm 3 spots lower than the ECR on Caleb Williams at my quarterback 16. The ADP right now, he's going at quarterback 11. What really does make me excited about Caleb Williams, it's really just the fact that for me personally, I think that we're a little bit too hype on the rookie quarterbacks, and a lot of it is CJ Stroud's fault. CJ Stroud was absolutely phenomenal last season, and it's making everybody forget kind of what is to be expected from rookie quarterbacks. I really see Caleb Williams as potentially being another Justin Fields, the Justin Fields 2.0 as far as the fantasy football aspect. Calm down, Bears fans. Not saying that's what's going to happen to your franchise, but that's what's going to happen to your team if you draft Caleb Williams, especially expecting him to be a top 12 quarterback. But what does give me excitement about Caleb Williams, as I was leading into before, you're looking at the weapons and where they're getting drafted. DJ Moore, the number one wide receiver, is getting drafted right now at wide receiver 26. You're looking at Keenan Allen DJ Moore is being drafted at ADP of 26, so the 26th pick overall. Keenan Allen at ADP of 39, and Rome Odunze at ADP of 61. All three of their wide receivers, including their rookie, are a top 75 pick in your entire draft, not just as far as wide receivers go. So I do think that Caleb has a decent floor, and especially as a QB2 could be a safe option. Another quarterback that I have a little bit higher than consensus is going to be Kirk Cousins, my number 17 quarterback. I'm not in love with Kirk Cousins, but it's really just the lack of options after Kirk Cousins that's really putting him here. He may even have gotten higher if it wasn't for coming off the Achilles tear last season, but I think Kirk Cousins really starts off this last tier. He's going to finish off my tier 5 of quarterbacks, and then Justin Herbert, my 18 quarterback, will start the final tier. The quarterbacks that you really don't want to have to rely on, but you're hoping things break right if you do need to rely on them, if you have 2 or 3 quarterbacks on your team. Like I said, Justin Herbert will be number 18. He's 3 spots lower on my rankings than the ECR. He's been a borderline top 15 quarterback each of the last 3 years. He lost Keenan Allen. He lost Big Mike Williams. Instead of taking Malik Neighbors in the 5th pick, they went Joe Alt, an amazing offensive lineman. You're looking at the Harbaugh coming in from Michigan. This team is seeming like they are going to be the team that is going to run the ball over and over and over and over and over again. So I don't think Justin Herbert being a top 15 quarterback, or a borderline top 15 quarterback over the last 3 years really helps, because in those last 3 years, he was running the 3rd and 2nd most plays among players in the NFL. I don't think they get as much offensive exposure this year, and I think when they do get out there, they're going to be a run-heavy offense unless they need to pass, and you never want to have your quarterback in desperation mode. Anyway, like I said, I'm just not comfortable with Justin Herbert as my quarterback 1 right now, and I'm barely comfortable with him as my backup quarterback. You just got to hope things break right for him where things don't seem like they're going right. The remainder of the quarterbacks in this final tier, you're not banking on rushing whatsoever. You're looking at their volume and you're looking at their weapons, and that's presenting the upside that makes you feel comfortable in drafting them as a backup running quarterback on your roster. Starting with number 19 at Aaron Rodgers, I got him 1 spot higher than consensus, as well as Deshaun Watson, my number 20 quarterback. He is 1 spot higher on my rankings than in consensus. You're looking at Baker Mayfield and Geno Smith rounding out that tier right there, that 5th tier in quarterback. Like I said, you're not banking on any rushing upside from Aaron Rodgers, Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith. You might get a little bit from Deshaun Watson. You're really looking at their passing volume and the weapons around them, hoping for some touchdowns to break right your way, but not people that you really want to be putting your fantasy football life on the line with. Last 2 quarterbacks I got here for you are going to be Will Levis. Really nothing special to be said about Mr. Mayo here, except for the fact that you saw some really good splashes from him at the end of the season last year, and he doesn't deserve to be outside the top 24 in my opinion at the current moment. And then my last big talking point is going to be Jaden Daniels, my quarterback 24. Now, if you just scoffed at me, I definitely understand it, because I've got Jaden Daniels 8 spots lower on my ranking than on the expert consensus ranking. Like I said, I think that Jaden Daniels, same thing with Caleb Williams, is kind of getting the CJ Stroud effect. We're expecting so much out of these rookie quarterbacks, but look at the Washington Commanders right now. Outside of rushing upside, I have absolutely no confidence in Cliff Kingsbury, absolutely no confidence in Jahan Dotson at wide receiver. You're looking at them losing Curtis Samuel, so they have less weapons than they've had in the past, and they already were a team that was stretched as thin as it could possibly get. They did add Austin Eckler, which I think will add some really great dimensions to this offense when you're looking at Jaden Daniels, Austin Eckler, what they potentially could do. But like I said, outside of rushing upside, you have poor weapons, a bad offensive line. He could be top 5 in rushing yards, and I really think that's what's getting him higher in the rankings. But right now, I'm pumping the brakes. I wouldn't feel comfortable with Jaden Daniels as my quarterback 1, and I don't really think right now I'm comfortable having him as my quarterback 2. I would be cool with taking a shot on him, seeing what happens in those first few weeks, and making a decision as far as that goes. But I don't feel the confidence in Jaden Daniels that he's going to be able to keep you safe when you need it. That's going to do it for my top 24 quarterbacks here this year in the early rankings for the 2024 NFL season. Like I said before, we've already ran through the running backs and the wide receivers. If you haven't seen them yet, they'll be at the end of the video and a link in the description below as well. We also going to have to ask you guys to make sure you like the content if you've made it this far, and if you like the content, and also hit that subscriptions bar and that notifications bell as well. We got tons of moving and shaking coming around the corner here on the Huddle Chat Sports Network, so make sure you stay tuned. But also, always make sure to keep your chin up and your attitude all the way down. I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.